y'all? I'm Sydney Wright, and I am a full-time hooper, full-time coach's kid. And I'm joined by my co-host, professional basketball coach of over 30 years, NBA draftee, three-time NBL Coach of the Year, and most importantly, my best friend, my dad, Joey Wright.
I like the best friend part.
Best friend?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're here to talk about the ins and outs of chasing a dream together. So, in a lot of times when parents and child share a similar passion, a lot of anxiety can arise, a lot of emotions.
Turmoil.
Yeah, but I'm fortunate enough to be here with my second favorite player,
Who's your favorite player?
Michael Jordan. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm here with all my players. I'm really passionate about, but here with one of my favorite players, and I enjoy seeing you play. But this will be awesome to do this podcast together, so we can talk about the emotions that come along with living with your favorite player and your best friend and your dad and your coach.
And all of it, all in one house.
Yes.
Um,
What's probably some of the things you encountered the most that really shattered you or was tough for you being a coach's kid?
Probably the comparison. I think when we would be working with other people and you're critiquing all of us, but you would use other people as an example to say, oh, this person did it like this, like, why can't you do it like that? And I was hearing that through my father, not through a coach. And so that would probably always cut really, really deep. Like I would know whenever you would do that, it would just trigger me and I would be done. It would be over. So that's probably one. And anytime I just felt like you didn't believe in me because you are the one person, and I know all of my siblings can say this, but you are like our number one supporter, biggest fan, biggest cheerleader. And you always instilled that in all of us, that you believed in us no matter what. So whenever there would be moments basketball related that I felt like you didn't believe in me, or you were like, you need to go ahead and quit, or go ahead and quit, or you need to give up, or whatever, that would just...
Well, I only said you should quit if you were going to approach the game in this way.
Right.
If you're going to approach the game this way, give it up, because that's not the way you approach.
Right.
So here in our first episode, we're going to talk about why is it hard to hear your parents' voice when you're trying to chase this dream.
Yeah. And I would even say for a while, I was like, there was so many times where you would upset me that I would just be like, okay, well, he's not my dad anymore. And I would just like, I would be like, I can't have a relationship with him. I'm not talking to him. I'm never stepping on the court with him ever again. I mean, this happened like probably every 6 months. I would have from the ages of 12 to 19.
I didn't know it was that.
It was that, exactly.
You willing to change the last name?
I was willing to change my last name, throw it all away.
I didn't know it was that deep. But
so that's why we're here talking about it, so that you can know how serious it is. Because I know that I'm not the only person who would have experienced feelings towards a parent or mentor or whoever, where they were like, you know what?
But what part of that is raising a child, and what part of that is being a basketball dad and a basketball daughter? Because I had those same emotions with my dad, who was one of my biggest supporters and pushed me really hard to get there. But he also pushed me hard when it came to cutting grass. Right. He also pushed me hard when it came to washing the car. Right. And I didn't like him much during those times when he was pushing me to do those things I didn't want to do. So how much of that you think was that, and how much of it you think was, oh, this is just basketball?
Well, I never felt any type of way truly when y'all were pushing me in other areas. because I mean, aside from like, do the laundry, do the dishes. Like, of course, no kid wants to hear that, but nothing, and still, but nothing had that passion deep inside of me. Aside from basketball, basketball was the only thing that I felt like affected my mood, affected my energy, all that type of stuff, and so it just meant that much to me. So that was the only thing that you could push me in to where it was sensitive. Nothing else was like.
Well, as we circle and go through all these topics and go through this, a lot of this we're gonna see. I think we're gonna come back to how you interpreted,
Yeah.
what I was saying versus what I was saying.
Yeah.
How you processed that, and heard it.
Yeah.
So in this, when I feel like the reason it's tough for us to communicate to you about basketball is because the disciplinarian voice that we use when you were 2 and 3 years old and 4 and 5 and whatever it was, hey, put that down. Hey, what are you doing? You don't do this. Hey, go do your homework. This and that. It's the same voice we actually coach with.
Right.
It's the same tempo and tone that we coach with. For someone like you, it would be hard for your brain to distinguish between me yelling at you because you
because I messed up or whatever.
you didn't
versus,
clean your bed
right.
or didn't make your bed or you didn't do dishes, me yelling at you about that. And so I'm saying, hey, when you come off that screen tighter. And that tone is the same tone that you hear when I discipline you. So I think that's the number one reason why it's really hard for parents to coach their kid, is because that kid, even when they want to, they can't.
Yeah, I can't separate
They
it.
can't separate it.
So how long did it take you to realize that? Because we went through so many years of you just cussing me out, which some was probably needed, but I wasn't, I didn't know how to separate the difference between.
I didn't know you needed to for most of the years. I didn't know that what I'm explaining to you, I've only come to the realization in the last couple years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something I was aware of, but the reality of it is, even if I was aware of it, I'm not sure
if it would have changed.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have changed, because the things that I were on you about were the things I needed to be on you about.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I'm not a numbers dad. I'm not a dad, you got to get buckets. You got to do this, got to do that. I really pushed Sydney to play the game the right way. Someone's open, pass the ball. If you're open, shoot the ball. If nobody's open, use the offense to create or go one-on-one. That's been simple and pushing you. And when you didn't live by that motto, I was going to say something to you. Why are you passing up shots? Why are you forcing shots? Why can't you effectively use a pick and roll to start your offense? Or why, use whatever it may be. So I don't think I would have changed. It would have just helped me more to understand
why I was reacting that way.
Would react that way, tear up and cry and everything else.
I was good for crying. From 12 to 15, I feel like we worked out every single day. And I probably cried every single day.
Not every day, but you were a crier.
I was a crier. And I'm also, and I think that this is important to know too, between parent and child, is who is your kid? I'm a people pleaser. So I want everybody I don't want to let anybody down. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to feel good. And so you being one of the most influential people in my life, I always felt like I was letting you down. Like any, criticism, bad games, whatever, I just took all of that as like, oh my gosh,
for most parents, you can't let us down. Like the fact that you're out there is more than enough. While you're out there, we want you to play a certain kind of way that represents who you are, who our family is, whatever it may be. Care less where the ball goes in the hole. Care less whether you make turnovers. Care less whether you forget an offense. Defense, you got to compete on D. That you have to do that. But those other things aren't as significant. So my pushing was always in that area, which is the same push that I gave my players. I wasn't a results-based coach. I didn't care, if you went 1 for 20, as long as they were the right shots at the right time.
Yeah.
So I could see why it could get a bit convoluted with all that messaging coming at you and pushing or whatever, but you needed it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten you to where you're at now.
Yeah. I probably didn't feel the release or like the just pure joy of having you come watch me until I was in Serbia.
Really?
Yeah. So I played a professional season in Serbia, my first professional season in Serbia. And it was so hard.
It was harder than me.
It was worse than anything you could have said or anything. Like, I mean, getting cussed out in a different language and
then have it translated.
Then having it translated to English, and then coach yelling in your face, spitting on you, all type of stuff. I just needed my dad. And you being there and you being so excited to be there just to see me play and to see me, I remember going out there and just being like, I don't care if I go 0 for 25. My dad's up there. Yeah. Like, I don't care. And I played good. But it was just, I remember thinking like nothing mattered. I was just like, I don't care if we honestly win or lose. I don't care how I play. I don't care what this coach say to me. I don't care what my teammates say to me. My dad's up there. Like, he's up there watching me. And ever since then, it's only felt like genuine joy and blessings when you've been able to come watch me play.
Well, it's always been that for me, for you as well as Taryn. Just loving to see you guys get up and down the court, play, compete. Both of you get out there on defense. Both of you hit the open man, and you play the game the way it should be. I'd like both of you to be a little bit more attentive to the offensive end, but that's a role base for you now as a pro. You're going to have to, some teams will ask you to score, some will ask you to pass, and you got to be capable of doing that. But yes, what would you have had me do differently? One thing you would have had me do differently.
I don't know if I could pinpoint this to one thing.
Okay. Well, you got a bunch of them, son.
I got a bunch of things. I have a lot. But one, I think, theme or topic, I always felt like when we would have these arguments about basketball, it would be stupid stuff now that I think about it. But it would be like, you should hold your follow through for a little bit longer. But anyways, when we would have these discussions, I always felt like even after we got over it, you could never admit that you were wrong.
Because I probably wasn't.
But if we got to the point where we compromise, like you would never budge with anything. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like it's his way or the highway. Like we're just.
Well, that's the way I coach. I know, but I give as you, and I did coach Sydney. For 2 years.
That's another episode.
They see what would be equivalent to her junior and senior year in high school.
Yeah.
Here in America, but in Australia, it's just club ball. But I did coach you, and pushing you. I didn't push you any harder, any more direction than any other player. What you did have to have was more social responsibility than the other players on the team.
Right.
Meaning your body language, because you were my child,
had to be
the right way.
Yeah.
Leadership. Your leadership and your communication with the teammates had to be the right way. Your communication with me had to be the right way. Not only because I was your coach, but specifically because I was your dad. You ain't gonna talk to me any kind of way.
Yeah.
that part. So the social responsibility, I think you have more. But on the court, I only know one way to coach. So I would have coached you the way I wanted to. That I would have coached any guard.
Yeah.
Like I can't have a family relationship when that ball goes up.
And we didn't, and I wouldn't want one Like I wouldn't have wanted one. I was always, I want to say, I was kind of like, I always wanted my own name when it came to basketball. I never wanted to be quote unquote Joey Wright's daughter. And I think growing up in Australia, especially those years in Adelaide, where you were such a big name and were such a big part of that community, that specific community, that was hard for me to have you coaching like right here and be who you are and me be underneath you in that sense. I always was like, I'd rather him just not.
But isn't that a lot of like, that's a lot of processing when you could have been putting that energy somewhere else?
I could have been putting that into the court, but I was so caught up in thinking about like, what are they saying? Like, are they going to say this because they, he's my dad and he's the coach of the team? And I was so worried about what other people were thinking and what the girls would think.
And they did.
And they probably, right.
Those conversations and all that stuff was real. But the reality of it is that's going to happen at any level. I mean, the best players in the world, LeBron and whoever, they get people who got comments about who they are.
Right.
So you don't get that either way, but at that age, you wouldn't have known that.
No.
You wouldn't have known that. Did you see how I process information from the outside? And could you learn from that? Like because as being a figure, like I had a lot of comments about me as well.
Yeah.
Could you look at anything the way I handled it?
I thought you were always, I never really saw it phase you. The only things that would phase you is if there was any direct conflict with me. But I think that came from more of a father instead of the coach. That was your, parental feelings. But I never, no, you handled all of that
without you knowing or feeling. I was able to block the outside noise out only because I stayed in my circles and I stayed close to the people. I never read a newspaper article, never looked at social media, and never really took any outside noise for a couple different reasons. One, I felt like I knew what the hell I was doing, so I don't need to be searching out there to find out what. And two, I was there; they wasn't. Why should I read what they write about?
Right.
I was there, so I don't need to read something about someone who, their opinion on it. I was there. I have my opinion.
Right. Which your professional career prepared you for that.
Yeah.
By the time you coached me, you had already been a professional coach for 20 years. So you had dealt with the worst of the worst and critics and newspapers and social media and all that type of stuff. Obviously, at a junior level basketball, it's a much smaller scale, but parents are ruthless.
Yeah, definitely. Well, from my point of view, I think one of the things I would have done differently in coaching you, and you probably would have heard my voice a little bit more too if I've done this, but I think I tied our identity, meaning your identity, our relationship, was always relative to what was happening in basketball. And I think so much as a professional coach, our identity is tied up in the wins and losses.
Right.
And it does affect me. You guys used to sometimes call me Robot Dad because I'm thinking about a game over here and you guys are, wanting to get pizza.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what happened in the last 2 minutes of this game. So, sometimes, you can get distracted with it, but I did try to keep locked in, focus on what was important, but sometimes you couldn't get distracted.
I that's all I knew of you because you were that way my whole life until you stopped coaching. So I didn't even know that there was another. I knew there was another side of you. People always would see how you coached on the sidelines and be like, this man's crazy. My dad was notorious for breaking the whiteboard, throwing the pen at somebody, cussing people out, jumping up and down on the side. Like, he's one of those coaches. So people saw that, and then they would just come to me and be like,
how you doing?
Are you okay at home? Like, your dad's crazy. I'd be like, no, he's literally fine. So I knew that there was that other side, but since you've retired from coaching, it's like a whole nother level. You're
being present.
present and like just cool. You're like we can hang out.
I've been cool for a long time.
Not this cool. That let me know how much though that your mental was tied into coaching, which makes sense. And I know that all professional coaches are probably the same way.
I would say so. Most that I've been around, their total identity and who they are and wins and losses matter for everything. I wish I'd been better at that. I wish I could have just understood at that particular time that a loss was just a loss. That it had nothing to do with my identity as a coach or my ability as a coach or, whatever. So I wish that, but I would bet that if I coached again, I would feel the same way just because I'm so highly competitive.
Yeah. If you had any advice for a parent who was coaching their child's team for the first time, what are some pointers that you would give them so that they get off on a good start?
One, I would make sure I didn't treat my kid any different than anyone else's. Me knowing their strengths and their weaknesses is human nature to try to cater to those strengths and weaknesses. And the very fact that you do not know the other kids as well as you know your own kid, you may be given more direction to your kid. And you don't want to be seen as that. I usually see this thing going one or two ways. You usually super harder on your kid, like I probably was with you. Or some parents go super easy with their kid. The goal and the trick is to treat that kid exactly the same way. The second thing I would do and make this very clear, and I did this with you, I never push you. I never push you to go to the gym. I never made you go to the gym. I made you shoot. I didn't make you do any of that thing. To be a elite player, you have to have internal motivation. You have to learn to push yourself.
Yeah.
And if I keep giving you that bug along the way as a dad to, my daughter, hey, let's go. I'm going to take you to the gym. I got you here. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do that. If I make that workout about you, about me and not about you, then you're not going to have that internal confidence or motivation. So we want you to, so that's the thing. I would not push them. I would let them lead their way. I'll give them every opportunity to be successful, meaning I'll buy those right shoes. I'll put them in the right AAU program. I'll, give them the right individual skills, coach development. I'll, move them to the right school, whatever it may be. But I'm not going to push
them. Yeah.
So between those two things, I would, learn to treat everybody the same and just not push as much is what I would give them.
Yeah. Yeah. You never had to. I can't really even think of a time ever where you were like, you need to go to the gym. Yeah. I was always already at the gym.
At the gym
I was already there.
Not, tap me on the shoulder, Dad.
Can we go to the gym?
Now, I left the gym a few times because we had a rule. If I'm giving instruction.
Ooh, I got left at the gym.
She did not. She didn't follow the instruction. I was out. I wasn't there to mess around and argue. We tried it the first couple times, and she cried and this and that. And no, I want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, okay, I'm gone. So that part I don't need to understand. But that we got the message. That only happened about 4 or 5 times early, and then we got the message.
And then we were good after that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do this guy's way while we out here.
Yeah.
So was that too harsh, or you got the message quick?
I mean, it worked. That's all we know. It works.
I don't think you could have played in Serbia if you hadn't went through a little bit of being pushed.
I still can't believe I played in Serbia. If you ask me, some of the stuff that I was going through then was like, you couldn't make it up.
Yeah.
Unless you had been in the situation before. Those were the only people who, like when I would tell people the stuff that my coach was saying to me or the situations that I was in, only people who had played really in Balkan countries that were like understood like, no, like I know how your coach is talking to you.
My first professional coach was my second professional coach was a Serbian coach, and Although he was really, really, really good coach, his communication or ability to communicate to me was horrible.
Yeah.
I've never been called so many different names before,
Yeah.
and told I couldn't play, and why'd you make that decision? Why'd you shoot that? So I did prepare Sydney for what she probably was going to walk into, but it was
worse.
It was a little bit worse than what I thought. But hey,
But we made it.
It made you the person you are, and you needed every single bit of every single thing you got.
Yeah.
And with that, Coach's Kid Podcast, we will be discussing it all.
And with that being said, that concludes the first episode of the Coach's Kid Podcast. We do have episodes coming out every 2 weeks, so please stay tuned. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube.
Please like and subscribe and share. We love to know what you're thinking. So send us some topics, and we'll see you next time.
Don't just talk about it.
Be about it.